listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Fredrick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to Proof Text. This is a GrammarPoint installment, and I'm Fred Long, and we're looking at the Greek noun. And I'm going to screen share here. In the next 4 or 5 videos, we're going to be looking at the cases of the noun and kind of one at a time. And we're going to start with the nominative case. Now, it's helpful to understand that the case have basic functions, and there's a basic significance to the cases. Now, I'm screen sharing here from my Kine Greek grammar, and this is in chapter 4 when I introduce the Greek noun. And so just to give you an overview of the cases, here they are. The nominative case is called the onomastike ptosis. So ptosis is a case, ptosis, kind of fun to say. The nominative case in a nutshell is a naming case or a designation case. And it is typically used as the subject. Now, there are more uses than this, which we'll look at in just a moment. But the example here, you have the Magi from the east arrived. And so you have Magu apo Anatolon para Yenoto. So here is the subject, the Magi, or however we want to understand that. That's the nominative, that's functioning as the subject. So this is a designation case, and it is used in different kinds of constructions, but the most fundamental is as subject. So here is page 400 of Kine Greek grammar, and some uses in addition to the subject are a predicate nominative. So the predicate nominative is when you have a verb of being like imi or yenome, and you're basically equating the subject, which is nominative case, with something else, with some other entity. And so that other entity is called a predicate nominative, and it's put into the nominative case because you're using an equative verb, a verb of being, a verb of something that is. And so when you're saying that a subject is something, that something refers really closely to the subject, and it's going to share its case, nominative case. So predicate nominatives are, that's one use of the nominative with verbs of being. You can also have adjectives that are referring back to a subject. So you might say the apostle is righteous. So righteous is an adjective, dikeos, and so that would be also nominative. You also have what's called a nominative of appellation. So with verbs of calling or naming, if a subject is being called something, rather than that what they're called being like the accusative case, it is left nominative. It is left in a nominative. And so that's what the word appellation means, is like a naming. So the nominative used when someone is being named. For example, in Matthew 5:19, you have, they will be called sons of God. So you've got the subject of tu, and then you have iu theu, kle the sonte. So the iu theu is what in fact they're called. And because there's like such a close association between the subject and then what they're called, that's why the nominative is used. So this is a particular use called the nominative of appellation. Okay. There's also some other circumstances. For example, when an infinitive clause, a lot of times you learn with infinitives that their subjects are accusative, or technically accusative of reference. But there are indeed instances when the subject of the infinitive in the infinitive clause is put into the nominative case, and this occurs properly when, in fact, that subject is the same as the main clause, the clause. So if you look at 1 Corinthians 14:13, you have, if someone thinks to be a prophet or spiritual. So this the subject is a tis, somebody. So someone is thinking, and then with the thinking, you're popping into a subordinate clause of content of the thinking or supposing. And you can do that in different ways. One way is to use the infinitive. But in this case, the what that person is thinking themselves to be is put into the nominative, even though it's working with the infinitive, because it's referring back to the subject. And so this is something a little bit odd that can throw people off. But when the subject of the infinitive is the same as the subject of the main clause, then you have a nominative. Another use of the nominative is like a suspended clause. And there's this condition or a situation where you have what's called a pendant or suspended nominative. And this is when some entity is pulled forward out of its clause and kind of hanging there. And so this occurs in a situation called left dislocation. So every now and then you might have something pulled out in front, nominative, and then it's picked back up by a trace back in the main clause, like a pronoun trace. And you can see some examples there. For example, John 17:2b, that everyone whom you have given to the Son, he would give to them eternal life. So everyone whom you have given to him, he would give to them eternal life. So the everyone is suspended and then given some elaboration. And then with the main clause, it's picked back up. He would give to them. So this everyone is corresponding to them. And so in a sense, it's really just suspended there. In an interesting kind of clause. Now, the Nico, another example, probably a better example here is o Nikon pieso avton, the one conquering. Here you have a substantive participle, nominative. This is kind of suspended, and then it's picked up with the trace of tone. I will make him. I will make him. So the nominative is here, I think, used for effect. It's designating something. It's making it real prominent, and it's kind of hanging there. But then when the main sentence gets going, it's picked up by the accusative. I will give to him. So there's some grammatical incongruity there, but the nominative case, remember, is a case of designation and kind of a special focus. And so I think that's a prominence device there as well. Now, sometimes you have nominative absolutes where they're just kind of hanging there with no verb. And for example, the beginning of epistles and letters have this kind of construction. So Pavlos, ke Siluanos, ke Timotheos, te ecclesia, to the church. So you have Paul and Silas and Timothy, or Silvanus and Timothy. They're just kind of sitting there. And then you have like the letter recipients provided in the dative case to the church of the Thessalonians. So this happens a lot. Perhaps we're to imply writing or something like that. But these nominatives are kind of hanging there, absolutely. Maybe we can call them epistolary nominatives or something like that, because it's kind of a customary way to begin a letter. And last but not least, you do have nominatives functioning in apposition to vocatives. So a vocative is a direct address. And if you want to further qualify that direct address, addressee, like someone that you're talking to. You want to provide an adjective modifier or label them as something else in apposition. That is put in the appositional element or adjectival descriptor is put into the nominative case. And so that's, and this is really, another use really of all the cases is that you can abut another noun to them to further explain them. And so if you have a nominative thing that you want to abut another noun or substantive to further explain it, you're obviously going to use the nominative case. But with vocatives, direct address, the appositional element is a nominative. Well, I hope that helps, and look forward to having you listen to us next time and watch. Take care. Bye-bye.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glosshouse can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glosshouse offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glosshouse.com today. Glosshouse, language resources for the global community.